Welcome to another edition of our live Pittsburgh Sportsline TV show right here in the studio in Bethel Park. I'm Al Levine, the talking machine. Smoking Jim Frazier's still on mend. I don't know what's wrong with him. A couple people have cited him in a couple areas. I won't talk about that, but don't mention that he was seen at the Rivers Casino. And we'll move on from that. We got boxing coming up May 3rd. He said he'll be there. Tonight he is not here. Keep him in your prayers. Chip Hayner has to work a long day today, so he couldn't make it out to the studio. I called my relief pitcher coming in, Jake Clancher. This is Jake. He'll be on the show with us, and we'll have some sports to talk about. I got some promos to show right now. Jack, you ready?
Yep.
Olive Oil's Pizzeria sponsored the pizza and hoagie. It was delicious. Give them a call at Hillcrest Shopping Center, 412-831-1900. Thanks to Frank Fanero for sponsoring us. We appreciate it, and we enjoy it also. Give them a call. Next, I end each show with Stay Joey Strong. This is Joey Fabus before DIPG. After DIPG, the brain cancer took his life before his 9th birthday. They've had fundraisers and different things going on. The last 4 years raised over $100,000 to try to find a cure for brain cancer for kids. This is just terrible, this DIPG. You can go to Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. They're a 501c3. You can donate money. May 17th, they have a night at the races, $20 to get in, $10 a horse. If you win, you could win $40. All the money goes to find a cure for DIPG. Check it out and check out other events that they have coming up. Next, 501c3, the Bethel Park Historical Society Schoolhouse Arts and History Center, 2600 South Park Road, the big red trolleys there. You can't miss it. They have different places they rent out, different events that they run. They're pro-business. Their coffee shop, I think Ronald's Coffee, is open now. Check out when it is and go get a cup of coffee. If you drink green tea like me, they said they'd have some green tea, so check it out. Next is Bethel Park Community Foundation, bpcf.org. They have money for you from $100 to $5,000 for your group and organization and the things you're doing in Bethel Park. We gave out over $100,000. I'm one of the trustees on there. Go get an application and come out there to one of our meetings and present your case why your group needs money. We have money there, bpcf.org. Check it out. Next, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. He put my face on Uncle Sam. Uncle Al wants you for BPTV. You could be like Zach and Jack team here. They're on audio, they're on video. They got us up and going today. They're recording the show, I hope. I think they told me that, so we're good. You can give a call, 412-831-3304. Tell Dave Cable that you want to work on our sound and video. You want to help BPTV out. You can even go on location when we're in different locations filming. And we do over 500 shows every year, so there's opportunities for you to learn camera work. And if you're going to high school, it's a great way to help what you do and learn in high school to figure out what you're going to do in college. So check it out. All right, first segment we do is What's on Your Mind. It's sponsored by Skeets Lewandowski of Skeets Service Station, right past Trax Farm in Mineral Beach. You can't miss it. It's a red, white, and blue station. And you can give a call at 724-348-4715. He works on anything, everything that works on gas. I got to take my mower there. I started it up today. It starts up, then it won't go. So I got to see Dr. Skeets.
There you go.
I'll be taking that there tomorrow, and he works on anything, boats, trucks, cars, weed whackers, you name it, lawnmowers. Mine will be there. Check it out. And we're going to start our show off with What's on Your Mind, Jake Clancher.
Thanks, Al. Appreciate you having me back on the show.
Welcome back aboard, buddy.
It's good to be seen. Thoughts go out to Jim Frazier. Hope all is well. Can't wait to have you back. So what's on my mind? Couple different things. You mentioned me as a relief pitcher.
Yes.
And I think we both talked about pre-show about Nick Birdie last night.
Yes.
And that horrific injury, immediately everyone's hearts drop. And
Sure.
And I don't think in all my years, I'm 32 years old now, I've seen a pitcher in baseball sit on the mound and weep.
Yeah.
And have his teammates console him like that. So it got me thinking, what are some of the worst sports injuries that we've seen?
I got to interrupt you right away. Joe Theismann breaking his leg was horrific. I'm still scarred by that.
I'll give you my top three. My number three would have to be Kevin Stevens. And this is in no specific order because these are all terrible injuries.
No, Kevin Stevens.
Kevin
too.
Stevens,
Yeah.
the hit by Rich Pilon.
His face.
Yeah,
Oh, man.
hitting his face, smashing off the ice. That was terrible. Number two, Jason Kendall.
Oh, yeah.
When running into first base,
He blew out his ankle.
I heard
Looked like his foot fell off.
I heard Ron Cook say today that the guys in the locker room could actually see bone coming out of the sock, which is that's pretty
bad.
That's pretty horrific. And I think number three for me, and just what I've seen, was what happened to Nick Birdie last night. And not so much, and thank goodness it didn't turn out to be. I think it just turned out to be a bicep pull.
Sure,
Going to miss a few months, but just the nature in which he reacted, it kind of just took.
Right, especially with his history of Tommy John surgery and coming back doing so well.
Right. So those for me, those were my three, but definitely Theismann comes to mind. There was also a pitcher a few years back who broke his arm throwing a pitch. The name eludes me.
I remember that too.
I wish I had that. It would be a lot more, be a lot better. But no, those all come to mind, and
Sure.
And it just makes you think about how injuries have become such a common part of sport, particularly the physical sports like hockey and football.
Look at how big and strong people are nowadays.
And let's not forget Ryan Shazier as well.
Oh, terrible.
But I'll tell you what, I don't think he's done yet. I think there might be.
Put it like this: to me, I don't see how you come back. I'm glad that he can walk, and I'm glad he can do certain things that he does.
Right. It's already been such a great.
Yeah.
He's already,
that is tremendous, and his faith. It's an inspiration. My only problem is how can you afford to gamble on getting hit again and being crippled? Because you get hit again. That's it.
Right. And I agree.
That's my problem with it. Like, God bless him and everything he does, and I hope he, gets back to just about what he was.
I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not so much about him playing football. It's about being an inspiration to others, and seeing him in
that's
the playoff.
His path. God gave him a path. He got to follow through on that.
Right.
He can inspire so many people that have had injuries like this.
Correct. So yeah, just injuries in sports, and I earlier last week I was watching the Bruins Maple Leaf series.
Yeah.
It's been an extremely physical series, and
Sure.
one of those hits.
Nip and tuck.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll see how that Game 7 goes tonight. So.
Sure.
What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? The Buccos.
Pittsburgh Pirates.
I'm a Pirate fan since I've been a little kid in the 60s. I didn't care who owned the team. I don't care if bottom line Bob owns the team and just worries about money. Guess what? I care what they do on the field. And I was a little doubtful because I kept hearing, if the pitching staff does this, if these hitters do that. I just kept hearing if. That's the biggest word this spring training. Well, they did it. They were in first place up until last night.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to give them credit. Early in the season, they're playing in division, which is tough. They're in a tough division.
Hardest division in baseball.
Yeah, and to have a record like that with the young players that they have pitching, and here's the other thing, a 2.50 ERA, best in the league. They were going back in history. The Cardinals, when they had the best pitching staff in like 1968, the year of the pitcher, their ERA was 2.50. So why can't we have one of the best pitching staffs this year? We can dream if they can manage to do
I think
it.
that's the key word. We can dream, because I'll tell you what, it's been a small sample size so far, but I'll tell you what, if you said if the pitching does this, if the hitting does that. Early in the season, and really up until this point, the bullpen's been much of a disappointment, actually, outside of Felipe Vasquez.
Averaging 4.40 ERA.
Right.
It's sixth best in the league, but it's disappointing. They've given up leads.
And it's interesting. What I'm saying is, it's interesting that they're in the spot they're in, despite the fact that before the season started, that was good. Like, that was the number one, their number one strength. I think most people, most baseball experts would say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. And Then the fielding was supposed to be stellar. It has not been stellar.
Right.
And that's lacking in itself.
A lot of surprises.
Yeah.
A lot of surprises, especially on the offensive side.
Well, Josh Bell's a pleasant surprise. You know, you just like to see him revert back to the mean of 26 home runs.
Right.
You know, not the 12.
Right.
So he's showing power when he hits the ball. It's like vicious. Balls are going out there off the wall, doubles here and there. It's just great to see him hit. Kung's got a few home runs. Melky Cabrera, how can you go wrong with hitting the...
Gotta love that story.
How did he get revived?
Right.
He's not on PEDs. Right. I mean, I'm anti-PED, so something's going on. They took a gamble. What a gamble.
But it's paying off right now. It's paying dividends.
And then he's making defensive plays.
Right.
Throw out to the plate, threw a guy out, just unbelievable.
And we haven't even talked about the return last night of Greg Polanco. Goes 2 for 4. Right. Looks like the old, the Polanco of old.
Put it like this. I was there the night that he tore up his shoulder.
Yeah.
It's one of the worst slides I've ever seen in my life.
It's something a 10-year-old could do better.
Yes. I have to say, we were there. I was with a friend of mine that's still playing baseball, like 58 years old, and he was just amazed. And I go, the only good thing I can say, he was hustling.
Right.
Because him and Marte shut it down at certain times.
Right.
And that night, Marte was hustling, and so was Polanco, but he tore up his shoulder, and I'm glad to see him back.
Yeah.
With some power, too.
Yeah, and it really solidifies, in my opinion, that outfield a good bit, having him back. That's huge.
It'd be nice to get Dickerson back.
Yeah.
Especially since he turned into a Golden Glover, which was shocking.
Exactly. I mean, I think it's starting to come to light that this team has some potential. And especially with the starting pitching.
Well, you deal with younger kids and stuff, and you know the enthusiasm that they have.
Right. If
they have a common goal and they all try for it, what does that do?
Right. It breeds success.
Yes.
Yeah.
So.
And I think you great point. I mean, in order to be successful in sport, or more so in life, if you don't believe, nobody's going to believe. And so this is
like I tell people, just lie to yourself. Go out there and do it. I know I can do it. You never did it, just go do it.
Exactly.
That's what's happening.
And that's what we're seeing before our very eyes. So it's just great to see the Buccos off to a great start, like you said.
It's some fun. I enjoy the games. I've watched most of the games, except last night I got disgusted with them blowing the lead. And that one inning, I watched that whole inning, and it was terrible. And how do you not have your foot on home plate when you're a catcher?
Right.
What are you doing coming out to get the ball? The pitcher can get that ball.
I heard that Arizona has beaten Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh every game since I believe it's May 2017.
It's 7 games in a row.
7 in a row.
I think. Yeah. So that has to stop.
Right.
We have enough of that. But that's what's on my mind. We're going to come back, and we don't have trivia time. We don't have Fiction and Fact from Smoking Jim's Almanac. We'll have On Location, but we're going to come back to Jake Clancher and learn about what he does in life at this stage of his career. All right, we're going to find out about Jake. What do you do between 9 and 5?
Well, talking machine, 9 to 5. I run my own financial practice through the Northwestern Mutual Broker Dealership. It's been a great business. Really enjoy doing that, helping people secure their financial needs, which, as our studies have shown, about 1% of Americans are currently saving, which is amazing.
That leaves an opportunity of 99% out.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. As of right now, it's a good business to be in, but more importantly, it's again about helping people and secure everything out and their families. On the weekends, spend my time at the ice rinks. It's been busy lately. We just finished up with USA Hockey Nationals.
How did that go?
It was for Pittsburgh hockey. It was excellent. The U16 boys, who I actually work with, a few of them independently. Yeah,
nice.
They just won the national championship over the Yale Bulldogs, which is an independent prep school all-star team. They beat them 2-1 out in Michigan, and also to the U14 girls team, coached by one of my good friends, Lauren Binney.
Go girls!
Go girls! So. It's only the second men's national championship.
You got to be kidding.
In Tier 1 Pittsburgh hockey history.
The second?
Only the second, and first at U16, which is really a U16 is the most highly look at that. It's the most highly scouted. It's the most highly scouted age of
really?
any. Yeah, and
so they're future NHLers, possibly.
Very possibly, definitely. I would say probably 10 kids off that team will commit Division I by the time it's all said and done. Maybe more.
Get on.
Yeah.
Good.
And they're only 16 years old. Some of them are 15 years old.
That is amazing.
And they're already getting
what skills they have.
Yeah, well, what skills they have, and just the exposure that they're getting, and the exposure, and not only at just maybe the collegiate level or junior hockey level, but at the professional level. So,
hey, that means a lot if you want to try to get there. Look, more and more Pittsburgh guys are in the NHL.
Yeah, I mean, you look down the line. Vince, you got Vince Trocheck from Upper St. Clair, Matt Barkowski from Mount Lebanon. Dylan Reese from Upper St. Clair played in the NHL for a while. Grant Lewis from Upper St. Clair played in the NHL. You could, I mean, it's becoming a laundry list,
All
which
your
is a
peeps.
good. Yeah,
all your peeps.
Oh
from
my
Upper
guys,
St.
yeah,
Clair.
yeah. But it's
how's that feel?
It's great. I mean, to grow up in this area and be able to train with people like that and skate with people like that, because that's how you ultimately get better.
I have a cousin who coaches the hockey team at Pitt, Stuart Rulnick.
Okay.
He's been involved with hockey for years.
Yeah.
Helped little kids all the way up, and we went to watch a game a couple years ago that he was coaching. Just amazing at the skill of players.
Yeah, and actually, Alan, it's funny. It's interesting you say that, because it's become such a big sport in this area that it's become.
Thanks to Mario.
Thanks to Mario, but it's become an amazingly huge business as well.
Look at the rinks that are up.
Right. I mean, within I believe it's a 20-mile radius of Pittsburgh, there's like 25 rinks.
I figured you know.
Yeah.
I'm in your wheelhouse now.
Right. So it's amazing how the sport has grown.
I grew up in the 60s and 70s. There were no rinks.
Right. You had the old Neville rink probably.
Now they were like few and far between.
Right.
It was.
Yeah. Until Mount Lebanon became the Penguins practice rink.
Right. In the 70s, we had kids on hockey teams, and they were talking about ice time and where they had to go to play, and it was just crazy.
Yeah. And it was actually, back then, it was so overbooked that teams you'd have youth teams practicing at 2, 3 in the morning.
3, 4 in the morning is their time.
Right.
And like, what are we supposed to do? Parents are like, they got school the next day.
And I have to work, So
on top of that,
it's just amazing how far it's gone, and or how far it's come.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how big the business has grown as well. Big.
Where do you see it heading in the future?
It's interesting, because there's a complex situation with the team that won the Tier 1 national championship, the Pittsburgh Penguins Elite.
Sure.
They have a partnership with UPMC. It's going to be interesting to see how that, because as we've seen in the news, we've heard about their basically their status as a 501c3.
Right.
And if that gets revoked, hard to say. As long as they keep that, I don't see any reason for a change, and the sky's the limit.
No, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Who knows? They play so many games with these 501c3s and everything else. It's some shaky ground there. You need the right legal opinions there.
Right. But
and hopefully it works out.
It's pretty clear that most sports teams have pretty good businessmen behind the scenes helping them out.
Well, they pay for it.
That's right. That's right.
They should. They're blessed. They're able to do that.
So
no, that's interesting.
And then just to go from the young Penguins into the big Penguins.
Yeah.
What a disappointment.
Yeah.
That was a hard series to watch.
Here's my take on it: is the Islanders were just more aggressive, and we didn't score enough goals. When you score 1 goal a game, like I tell people, with the talent we have, you're not going to win.
Right.
It's impossible, because I call it a power shortage. Mm-hmm. We were showing a power shortage.
We were.
Because with the talent alone, just making a mistake shot on goal is going to be a goal.
Right.
And then we didn't have that.
100%. And I always tell the players that I coach and I scout, people ask me, what do I look for? Number one thing is you have to be able to skate. To make it at a high level, you have to be a great skater.
Right.
Number two, you have to have a brain. You have to know the game. You can't be forcing pucks, and you have to play your position.
And then look at this pinching that they're pinching on guys and letting guys make breaks, 2 on none. And
talking machine. It was brutal.
Yeah, right.
It was brutal. And number three, you have to love to compete.
Each game.
And you have to love to compete. And so, I didn't see a whole lot of really hard skating out there.
No.
I didn't see a whole lot of real intelligent decision making.
No, and some of these are the smartest guys. They talked about in interviews before the series
what
they had to do, and guess what? They're giving up the puck.
Yeah. One of my buddies, we were having an adult beverage, and he asked me, Jake, what do the Penguins have to do to win the series? And to me, it was very simple. As long as they compete, and as long as the defensemen don't make the wrong error at the wrong time. Stupid mistakes. It's not to say you can't get beat, because everyone gets beat from time to time.
But just like this, it's the nature of the beast.
I mean, game one, Letang makes the critical error. Game 3, it was Justin Schultz and Letang.
Right.
And just like that, those are two games.
Letang's playing 27 minutes a game, giving up some dumb, giveaways and pinches and moves.
Jack Johnson's taking penalties.
Oh.
It was just so hard to watch. And before that series started, I would have said that this was probably the best Penguin D-core going into that series that they've had in quite some time.
Sure.
This is a team that's won, obviously, a few Stanley Cups. So.
Yes.
But when you leave a series with Eric Goodbranson being your number one defenseman, and he's the low guy on the totem pole when it comes to salary cap.
Sure, there's a problem.
There's a big problem.
No, I saw that. It was so disappointing to me watching. I'm a big Penguin fan, and it was just disappointment after disappointment.
Yeah.
I mean, really. I'm like, why aren't they playing? Why aren't we taking it to them where the Islanders were taking it to us? They were the aggressors.
Yeah, and I would just say it was really more a matter of hunger. The Islanders wanted it more.
Well, yeah, they definitely did, and they showed it.
Yeah.
Their enthusiasm. There were like 5-6 minutes that they're controlling the puck.
Right.
Even if it's in their own end, our end, they just had it. We didn't have it.
And after the series, I thought it was interesting. You listened to some of the interviews in the locker room, the closing interviews, and the Penguin players are actually just coming out and saying straight up, the Islanders wanted it more than we did.
Sure.
And I can't believe that you would be a hockey player and actually, I mean, it's one thing to think that and not say it to
say it out loud.
But to say it out loud in a city like ours, hey, you can lose in our city, but you got to compete.
But here's the problem you have. Winning 2 cups and winning 3 like some of them have.
Sense of complacency.
Put it like this. What more do you've already climbed the mountain 3 times.
Right.
Their sense of accomplishment's already off the charts for most.
Right.
And
but that's not enough.
How do you get up again for that?
Right. And I agree. And I think you just ran into a team that's never climbed the mountain.
No.
Penguins have played a lot of hockey over the last 3 years.
Sure.
And it just kind of caught up with them.
But to me, it's become excuses because shoot the puck. You got the best skilled players. They kept a core group of guys. Yes, they are getting older, but they're your age.
Right. I mean, they should still be in.
They should still have another couple years.
They still got some juice in the tank.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just if they get fired up.
Right, and going back, you make a great point there about the complacency and the accomplishment, because if you look at the Penguins salary cap books right now, there's not a whole lot they can do there.
No.
And so we're basically looking at a situation outside of maybe 1 or 2 small-time deals, maybe bringing up someone like a Ted Bluger or someone like that. They're going to have a hard time getting rid of some of these contracts.
Sure. Well, they're going to have to take less value.
Right. Or take significantly less value. Yeah.
If you're trying to cut a $4 or $5 million contract, and you take a guy that's not even comparable, that's what's going to happen.
I mean, you got
common sense got to come up.
Chris Letang is making $7.1 million. Kessel's due to make in the mid-6s. I mean, that right there, that's...
I can't see Kessel staying.
I don't know how you could keep him at this point. So there's going to have to be some sort of drastic move.
And Hornquist, since his concussions...
If I were Pat Hornquist, I'm starting to think about maybe it's time to...
Put it like this, there's nothing in the tank, it's looking like.
Well, and he's got a family too.
Yeah.
And he's had a significant amount of concussions here in the last 2-3 years.
Sure, the last couple years, it's not good.
It's scary.
Yeah,
it's
and
scary.
It does affect people different ways. Look at Sid when he had his whiplash and neck problems and concussion there.
Right.
How it took him over a year or so to get back.
Well, and I think you know as well, from my background at least, there's a life after sports. And
you're finding that out now.
I'm living it right now.
Yeah.
So, and I'm 32 years old. So
right.
I'm right around the same age as a lot of that core group. And
definitely.
And they got to keep that in the back of their mind that they're going to have families to worry about after hockey.
Sure.
There's going to be probably a profession, secondary profession.
Yeah,
so all things to consider, yeah.
And they've made millions. That's the other thing. You win these cups, you got millions.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Human nature, you're going to relax a little bit.
Yeah, Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I'm not saying you're retired. I'm just saying at some point they will circle back, and
Not yet,
but not right away.
That's what we look at for it. But yeah, no, nothing but disappointment. But I'm hopeful for next year that somehow the goals will come about in bunches again.
Yeah.
The scoring, like Malkin was like minus 27.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine it, yet he was averaging a point a game.
It's a very capable group.
Yeah. So they're just off a little bit.
Right. And I think
that's between winning and losing, too.
It's intangibles like compete level. The compete level just wasn't there.
Sure.
And that I think that at the end of the day.
And since they mentioned it, guess what? If it's on your mind and you can mention it, there's a problem.
Right. It's disappointing.
Yeah.
It's very disappointing.
Yeah.
And not to switch fields with you, but I wanted to ask you, too, did you get a chance to watch the Masters?
I did, because I'm not a big golf fan, but I got piqued by seeing Tiger Woods like creeping up along there.
Right.
So the last day of it, I was watching it, and I was just amazed at his skill set, him coming back from all the problems that he had, let alone mental, physical. And my dad used to love him, so my dad's looking down from heaven going, "Go, Tiger."
There you go.
I could just hear my dad saying, "That's my boy, Tiger."
That was touching.
And it
was a touching moment. Him with his kids there.
Yeah.
That was a great moment.
That's some special moment for his kids to actually witness him winning another major.
Right. And everyone thought he was done. And one thing I think we can both agree on is the media, the general sports media, loves to build guys up. And for a time there, he was as big as they can.
They're great at tearing them down.
And then they love to tear him down. And
Look at my hero, Babe Ruth.
And then bring him back up.
Look at my hero, Babe Ruth.
Right. And then bring him back. And then bring him back up. Right.
Yeah.
And it was a very, I thought it just an awesome sports moment.
Yeah. And just his shots were unbelievable.
Yeah.
You know, you could tell the focus that he had. That's the difference.
Looked like me out there, Al.
Really? I'll have to see you in action then. Definitely. I want to see that.
Yeah.
But no, he was truly zoned in there.
That was, a terrific moment. And just in general, how good those guys are. I mean, not just Tiger, but all of them. The touch on the ball is...
Some of the putts some of them were making, some of the shots they were making, unbelievable.
I believe I don't remember who actually made the putt, but the longest putt ever in history at the course was that weekend. It was
I think I saw that.
It was like a 70-yard.
70-some yard.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness, like wow.
How do you even do it? And it's moving.
Right. Yeah, it's cutting left. It's like a video game.
Yeah, and the guys up in the booth are saying it'll cut left up here, and you're like, here it goes.
Yeah.
Dropped right in the hole.
So what are you thinking for the Steelers for draft time, Al?
Put it like this: I don't think they're going to get the Bushes.
You don't think so?
No, because they'll be gone by maybe the 11th round, they're saying.
11th overall.
5th and 11th.
11th pick, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard that they're really high on the linebacker from Michigan.
I heard that too, and then there's a cornerback supposedly that they're talking about.
Well,
I'm not sure who that is, but...
I heard an interesting report today from Jason La Canfora of NFL Network that the Steelers are actually in talks right now with the Washington Redskins to trade up 5 picks from 20 to 15 in return. And so Pittsburgh would give up their they would essentially swap first-round draft picks, and Pittsburgh would have to throw in their second-round pick, which I think would be a great deal because it's really like a third-round pick because they're picking so late in the second round.
Yeah.
So I think that'd be a great deal. Gives them a little better opportunity. And,
hey, they did it when they got Troy.
I'm hoping for one of the tight ends from Iowa. I think would be a great pick. Which they have 2 first-round picks coming out of there, which is, that's amazing.
I know, that in itself is big.
Right. And then you got the cornerback out of Washington would be great, I think. Right. And then also Bush, the linebacker that we talked about from Michigan.
It's going to be hard to get Bush because other teams are sniffing around there. You know, it's not a secret. They're good players.
Right.
It's hard to hide somebody like that.
I got to say, though, the Steelers the Steelers' history when it comes to trading up. In the years when they've decided to trade up a few picks, almost every one of those picks
they're good.
Has worked out.
Yeah.
Because they just fell in love with them.
Well, hopefully these guys are worth it.
Yeah.
That would help. We need a good draft. That's what we need. We got 10 picks. It's the first time since 2010 that we've had 10 picks in the draft.
Right.
So we need some quality there.
And we're looking up at the favorite Cleveland Browns to win the division.
It's all on paper.
It's all, paper champions. Like Leaf on Flowers used to say, paper champions.
Yeah, because, you got to prove it. Mayfield might be a leader, but, what's he done?
I heard that today was day one of mini camp, and apparently Odell Beckham and Le'Veon Bell were both no-shows. Figure that one out.
No, I can't. I'm surprised.
Right, I was shocked too when I heard that.
Some things don't change. Look at AB. I don't hear anything.
Right.
So we'll just see what happens. It'll be interesting.
How do you think he'll do this year, AB?
Yeah. I think he'll have a great year.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay.
Put it like this. If they throw him the ball more than 10, 12 times, he's going to have a ton of catches.
Yeah.
But when he's getting 3 or 4 catches, it's going to be a problem.
I heard La Contanfora, if I'm saying that right.
You're close.
Yeah, it's close enough. He said that Oakland is actually looking into drafting the running back out of Alabama.
Oh, get
who
on.
they're saying is a can't miss. And,
Wow.
and this scout said that
Alabama has some great players.
well, always.
sure.
They're a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But he was predicting that this guy is going to have 1,700 all-purpose yards his rookie
Wow.
year. Yeah, so, I mean, I thought the same thing about Eddie Lacy and the same thing about Trent Richardson. So,
Yeah.
you just never know.
You don't know.
You never know until they get there.
Put it like this. When they got 300-pounders knocking them around, you don't know what's happening there.
Right, yeah. Now, my buddy always throws that in my face that the year when the Steelers drafted Le'Veon Bell out of Michigan State, I said that they should have taken Eddie Lacy.
Yeah.
And
He goes, look at it.
it turned out that I was wrong on that one. But
Hey, you took a shot.
yeah,
What
I'm
the
a
heck?
hockey scout, not a football scout.
No, and you proved it.
right.
You proved it.
Proof's in the pudding.
Yeah, exactly. All right, we go next. We got Jake out of the way. Let's go to my segment next. All right, we'll be back at Olive Oil's Pizzeria May 13th. I got a couple good guests that you may notice. We're looking at Daryl Sammartino, son of Bruno, Larry Richard from KDKA, and Dan Bogan, the dreadlocked DJ, who does ring announcing for MMA and boxing. He'll be there. And I got some boxers from the Bronson House out in Washington, PA. My man Skeets trains 3 young Mexican kids that were on my show last year, and they've had some success winning some Golden Gloves, and they have another champion Golden Gloves winner, a girl, so they're going to bring them to my show. So come on out there May 13th, 7:30 to 8:30. Frank Finero at Olive Oil's Pizzeria has different specials there. Jake's been there. And
Great pizza.
yeah, you can't go wrong with their pizza. He runs some $5 specials every so often, so you may do that on our night there. And we'll have a great segment of guests, and we'll learn more about Bruno Sammartino. We've tried to have Daryl on a few times, but we haven't connected till May 13th. Be out there for Daryl Sammartino, Larry Richard, Dan Bogan, and the Mexican young boxers. We'll have a fun night, I guarantee it. It's always a good show, 1 hour of sports entertainment, local sports people. I like pumping up other people and find out what they do. And it's always inspiring to me what these young kids are out there, boxing and staying off the streets, staying out of trouble. That's a great thing to see. So come out there on location. We're in talks with doing an on-location show in Millville at the old VFW. It's over 100 years old. Jose Caraballo has invited us to do a series of shows out there. I got a call to confirm that we're going to look at June, July, and August doing shows out there in Millville. So you can come on out there. They have food, drinks, and we're going to be doing shows inside a boxing ring. How cool is that? We'll be up in the ring interviewing guests from all walks of life. So it looks like we're going to have some fun doing that. Then stay tuned that the Oaks Theater was so happy with my Sid Bream interview. They called up and said they want me to interview Cyril Wecht, and they gave me 4 dates. I told them I'm available. They're waiting for Cyril Wecht to get back to him. So you'll hear the Talking Machine and Cyril Wecht coming soon. So stay tuned for that. We'll be back with some pirate talk and more. Thanks for not changing that dial. Chief, I hope you're enjoying your dessert. Hope you had a good meal, and you're missing your buddy Chip, but Jake and I will try to cover the Pirates here. First of all, the Pirates have surprised me. I thought they could do well. They did better than that. We're in first place. To have 12 wins out of the first 20 games was not too shabby. So I've been impressed with some of the hitting. The fielding, not so much. At times it's been disappointing. And they shouldn't have made some of the errors, but we've had some great plays. Even Frazier's made a few good plays that I've seen in the field. And Melky Cabrera, unbelievable out in the outfield. Running catches, throwing the ball in.
Looks like a reborn ball player.
Yes, he does. He's rejuvenated here in Pittsburgh.
Right.
No PEDs, and he's doing fine. He's stellar there. Do you watch any of the games?
I have been, yeah. Again, the bullpen has been the number one. It was the number one strength coming into the season. Now it seems like it's the number one concern.
Yes. I'm worried every time they have a lead.
Yeah, and it seems like they've all. I believe Clint Hurdle said in this post-game interview last night, we've already had our fair share of injuries.
Yeah.
You look at what's happened with Birdie and a few guys in the lineup.
Sure.
Position players. I mean, it's just been pretty significant. And so, despite those injuries, for them to be in the place that they're in, speaks a lot to what they've done.
Look at the horrific injury with Marte and Gonzalez.
Right.
I mean, you got guys out. Gonzalez will be out for 2 months or something.
Right.
And Marte got banged up, and he's finicky to begin with.
Right.
I mean,
right.
You don't know when he's turning the play on or off, and he's got the speed and the skills. He's one of the best players on the team, but you wouldn't know that at certain streaks.
Well, it's about it's never been a question of his physical gifts with Marte. It's always been about what's between the ears. But yeah, no, and also the loss of Corey Dickerson. I mean, that's pretty significant. Like you
huge.
said, Gold Glover last year.
Consistent hitter.
Consistent hitter. I mean,
so
not
what
if
he chokes up on the bat?
Yeah.
He's hitting 300. We'll take that.
That's all. Yeah, I mean, what really more can you ask for in that situation? And how about this? Joey Musgrove is right now has the lowest ERA in baseball.
Unbelievable.
Which is I never would have guessed that coming into the season.
No. Not at all, and he's a competitor. He's right after these guys. Gave up his first home run of the year the other night. So,
starting pitching, very, very little to complain about there. Outside of maybe
2.50 average. Come on,
right.
We'll take that.
Right.
As long as it lasts,
and as long as they can get to Vasquez.
Yeah.
And
he's been a little shaky throwing all these different pitches there.
A little bit.
A
little bit. But at the end of the day, he's still an elite closer. Talent-wise.
He can bring it.
He can bring it when he wants to.
Definitely.
What do where do you see them finishing? What do you? I mean, if you had to
I don't think this is sustainable. That's my thing.
I would tend to agree with you.
I think a third or fourth place finish is what we're looking at. I'm thinking maybe mid-80s for wins, maybe upper 80s possible.
Okay.
But they need some streaks, winning streaks.
Right. You got to put some. You
got to put those streaks
together.
Some
wins together.
You got to watch because when they go into losing streaks, they have long streaks.
Right.
That's what bothers me.
Right.
Get the streaks on the winning end.
Right.
Not the short end.
Right. You can. Yeah. You got to
That's where it's a little sketchy there.
Yeah. And
you've played sports. You know what it's like. Once it gets bad, it gets worse and worse. You got to stop that somewhere.
Momentum.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing in
sports.
They
lose that mo.
And just the mental aspect and the toll that it takes. It's like quicksand. The more you try to dig out of it, the deeper
the harder
you sink.
You work at it, the
worse
it
becomes.
gets.
The worse it gets. It becomes almost a self-fulfilling prophecy. But if they can stay away, I mean, I tend to agree with you, Al. I'm thinking, probably
and I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
Truly, I am optimistic.
I believe Las Vegas put the Pirates this year, their win total over under, I believe, was 77 games.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
that's low.
Yeah, which is low, and I think that they'll probably beat that at this point.
Yeah.
But you're just in such a gauntlet here in the NL Central, and the Cardinals. The Pirates go out and they bring back Jung Ho Gong. The Cardinals go out and get Paul Goldschmidt.
Yes.
How
do you compare that?
Right, exactly.
Let me weigh that.
Right, exactly. So, they're playing with a loaded deck in many ways.
Well, they're like a machine because they have all the pieces that go in the machine, and it's like, okay, we'll put this one in.
Well, and
we'll put that one.
Well,
in.
and franchises like Chicago and St. Louis are willing to go out and get those pieces and bring those in.
Sure.
And here in Pittsburgh, it's pretty clear that ownership is not willing to go out.
If we're not getting a youth movement, then we have nothing.
Right. I mean, at times it feels like Mr. Nutting is more worried about the upkeep at Seven Springs and Hidden Valley than putting together a quality product on the field.
As long as he's pulling in $40-50 million a year in Major League Baseball, he's happy.
Right. And I can understand that. I mean, baseball, like all major sports, is a business.
Right.
But you can't have that action and then expect the fans to not only notice it, but spend their hard-earned dollars to go to the ballpark.
Well, we have that happening now. That you were down over 1 million fans from a couple years ago.
Right.
And you're not recouping that.
Well, last night's game, I believe they said there were about Ron Cook said there were 9,000 people there, and he was at the game. He said there's no chance there was 9,000 people there.
Yeah.
It looked more like 900 people.
Sure.
And
sure.
So that's alarming for me.
Well, that was after that bad inning.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they announced
No,
it.
I'm kidding, yeah.
In general.
No,
I mean,
kidding.
and it's been terrible. It's been like outside of day one, opening day. It's been terrible attendance.
No, it has been, and you could just see it. Pittsburgh's a front-running town.
Oh, yeah.
You got to admit it.
Oh, for sure,
100%.
Here.
They're front runners. It's like restaurants. Newest restaurant out, it's the most popular. Yeah. After 6 months, maybe not so.
Yeah.
It's just how it is, and the people around here are spoiled because we've had great Steelers, great Penguins, great Pirates, and we talk about that history. It's since 1979 since the Pirates won a World Series.
Right.
Guess what? That's 40 years, folks.
That's longer than people think.
You weren't even alive.
Right. I mean.
No disrespect meant.
Yeah, I'm with you. And to take it one step further, not to relate it back to hockey, but there was I heard someone today tell me, he goes, this is a Penguin town. This is not a hockey city or a Penguin. This is a Penguin city. So people root for the Penguins, but this is not a hockey city, right? People like it because it's the Penguins. Go speaking to your whole thing.
They're not watching other hockey games,
right? They're not going to.
Here's what they're saying: Penguins are out of it, man.
Exactly.
What are you watching that for?
Exactly.
Wait, I like hockey.
Right. It's not like a Buffalo, Minneapolis, Detroit. Those are top hockey.
It's ingrained in them.
Right, where it's ingrained in them. Now. If you get the Steelers out of the playoffs,
right,
people are still watching NFL football.
Sure. They like the hitting and the controversy and all that stuff.
This has and always will be. What do they say? A drinking town with a football problem, right?
Sure,
I mean, and that's just the way it's been since the 70s.
Yeah, and it follows through with that with the success. It changed a whole generation of auto work, steel workers, and everything else. Helped give them something to root for.
Absolutely.
As they lost hundreds of thousands of jobs.
So
imagine that.
Now that we talked about where we're talking about where they're going to finish in the division, let's do a little exercise here.
Okay.
What are you thinking you don't need to give the losses, just the win total for the Pittsburgh Pirates this year? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking like 85, 86 wins.
I'll go just south of that. I'll go 84 games. 83, 84.
Because they had 82. I'm thinking if they get lucky. Mm-hmm. And put something together, they could boost it up 85, 86.
It's good, and the reason I'm a little higher than what is just that the hitting has looked better than I thought it would be.
Put it like this: if Bell has power, and Melky has power and hitting,
right?
How can you go wrong with that? And Frazier's up there, getting his hits and stuff in timely fashion.
Corey Dickerson will be back here.
Corey Dickerson will be back.
Marte.
Yeah, Marte, when he turns it on, will be there.
Polanco.
Polanco could be there. We'll see.
Did you see that throw that he made?
Yeah.
Last week?
Yeah.
That was unbelievable. It was from almost the warning track.
I know.
And it was right on the money.
Dead.
I mean, we know he's got all the tools.
Sure.
It's just a matter of executing.
Yeah, it's what's upstairs.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah,
it fades.
It remains to be seen.
It fades, just like like I said, AB had a 2-cent brain. Because he got hit so many times and he wasn't the brightest guy to begin with.
Yeah.
And they entitled him to do all this stuff, so he took advantage of it. What are you going to do with your kids?
Right.
If you don't tell them no,
right,
they're going to do it.
That whole thing was just such a disaster.
So, I mean, we're beyond that. I want to see what Tomlin does as a coach this year. Mm-hmm. I believe he can do the right thing and give the right direction because now he has all the pieces to do it.
If you were, Kevin Colbert and the Rooneys, how long of a rope would you give him?
I'd give him this year.
You'd give him the whole year?
Yeah, I'd give Tomlin the whole year, and because his contract's coming up, I wouldn't sign an extension, make him sweat it out.
Yeah, well,
because he's at fault because he's the core guy there. He was the team representative.
Well, the one thing that I've always had a problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and this is just a huge thing in my opinion in sports, is accountability and life. You have to be held accountable.
Yeah.
And people don't know, especially in our area, we know, that we have a defensive coordinator on paper. But we also know that Mike Tomlin aids in calling the plays. So who's actually calling the plays?
Well, here, Smokin' Jim says, Tomlin does this because the defensive coach, forget about him. He's terrible.
And why is he here?
They liked him, and they promised that he could fill in after LeBeau.
Right.
So they feel obligated.
Well, okay, so
guess what? We need a new guy.
Right. Who's the offensive coordinator? Is it Ben Roethlisberger?
Yes.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
We don't have to go any further.
Right. And so it's just
Put it like this: how many yards did he have?
Ben?
He's a stat man. He got over 5,000.
Did he this year?
Yeah.
Well, I just think it's strange.
How could that happen?
Well, a few of those games, the Oakland game where he's throwing the ball twice on the 1 yard line,
right.
when you got a power back like James Conner. Similar thing happened in the Denver game.
Sure.
The San Diego game, another one. That's 3 games. The Steelers win one of those.
That's it.
They're in the playoffs.
They just needed one.
Yeah.
No, and that's what it boils down to. It's like, it's just a shame that the coaching's like that. It's too much favoritism.
Yeah. He's given them too much rope, and they're taking advantage of it. Well, you give a mouse a cookie, he's going to ask for a glass of milk. You give him a milk, he's going to ask for.
When Tomlin got hired here, LeBeau was a coach, and they had their offensive coordinator. I forget who it was, but Tomlin didn't bring any of his coaches then.
It was Mike Mularkey, I think. It was either Mike Mularkey or
I forgot.
Bruce Arians, maybe one of those.
Bruce Arians, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but he had these good coaches already. So when do you see a head coach come in and not bring his own people?
It's rare.
That's why he's suspect in my mind and always has been.
And I think that's a valid.
Just because I look at what surrounds him.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't bring anything with you,
right.
What do you have?
Right. Whose team was, on that Super Bowl winning team, whose team was that? Well, he inherited that team from Bill Cowher.
Sure. Smokin' Jim swears that it was all Cowher's team.
Yeah.
I said last year Cowher was here, he was 8-8. That's not great, you said. So what happened?
Right. No, it's going to
couple kicks helps.
Right. It's going to be curious to see how it all plays out. And I mean, do you think there's ever a chance Bill Cowher's going to leave his spot in the NFL today?
He got such a good gig, got a girlfriend, got all this stuff going on. He don't need anything else.
Yeah, it's the centerpiece of NFL today.
Yeah.
Like,
why would he want anything else?
Yeah.
He had his time here. He's a legend here in Pittsburgh. Grew up in Pittsburgh and Carnegie, so
right.
His roots are here.
Hey, once a Yinzer, always a Yinzer.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. He did what he could do here and parted ways and made a great career out of what he's doing now.
If I were Bill Cowher, I would have done the same thing.
How could you not? Cash those checks.
Right.
They cash.
Right.
And he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and you have to work, once a week?
Yeah, if you call it that.
Right.
Right, you could do that. We're only doing this an hour.
Right.
We could do it for 8 hours, no problem.
Heck yeah.
Talking sports, why not? We both love it.
Heck yeah.
No, I'm glad you could be on our show tonight. I've enjoyed it so far.
How's
our time looking there, fellas?
5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Just give me, when we're close, let me know. Yeah, we got 5 good minutes to finish this show. Can you handle it?
Oh, yeah.
You just warming up.
I'm game.
Oh, man, I like you. We'll have to call you back again from the bullpen.
I can't wait. I can't wait.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure. Do you want to let me touch a little bit on the NCAA basketball championship? You fill out a bracket this year, Al?
No, I'm not a bracket guy. My dad was. He won many times.
Really?
He was a basketball referee. You would have loved him. He was a character. He'd pick this team, that team. I miss his phone calls because he's been dead. It'll be 9 years on Father's Day. Oh, but he used to call up during NBA games, NCAA games, say, "Did you see that foul? Did you see that walk? Did you see that play?"
Yeah.
And we'd be watching the game and going back and forth.
Did you watch any of the games?
Yes, I watched the March Madness. I'm a big fan of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I just don't fill out the brackets. I don't feel lucky. But I had Duke, so they disappointed me.
Me too.
2 games in a row they disappointed me, and then I go, man, this is shaky. And the third game was the final that they got beat.
Yeah, but what a couple just terrific athletes on that team. That's Zion Williamson.
Put it like this: it shows you can have the greatest athletes, but you need a team.
Yeah. And the NCAA tournament is, I find it so interesting. In college basketball in general, it's 40 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a 40-minute game. So you go on a couple bad streaks.
20-minute half, 20-minute half.
Right. You have a cold string there.
Yeah.
That's the difference of maybe winning the national championship or being knocked
That's
out
why
and your season being over.
I was so positive that Duke was going to win it.
Right.
I said it from the beginning after watching them play, even though they lost a few games and Zion was out. I figured when he comes back, there's nobody like him.
Yeah. I was
Just
right
the
there.
size that he had and the skills that he had.
I was right there with you.
Yeah.
And you have to love the story of Virginia.
Oh, yeah. That's a classic, from getting beat to coming back.
Yeah, from being the first 16 seed to be knocked out to go all the way. And
what an incentive to do that, to come back and win.
yeah, in my opinion, the best game of that tournament was between Purdue and Virginia.
Ooh.
I believe was that in the Elite Eight to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, that was a good game.
And I think it was the guy from Virginia, the player, him just going off and going, and then he had that point where he did those free throws. He had those 3 free throws, made all 3. Like,
perfect.
Yeah, it's just how you draw it up. CBS couldn't have asked for a better product.
That's what's great watching these young kids. Some choke.
Right.
Some do well.
Right. That's going to go down as one of the greatest moments in NCAA history.
Yeah, it has to be.
Right.
You can't deny it.
Absolutely.
No, it was great watching the games. Some great games. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Tough not to see, Pitt. I know they're under new coach Jeff Capel, but I'd like to see him get back in there.
Put it like this: it was interesting to see people come back to the Pete and enjoy the games, and the Zoo come back with a vengeance.
Yeah,
so
agreed.
It's nice to see the popularity come back because they respect the attitude on the court. These guys weren't quitters. They were playing.
They tried hard.
Yeah.
And I think that a big part of what happened last year was that the team just gave up on Kevin Stallings. They just didn't want to play for him anymore.
Put it like this: there's no way they could play for him with the way he was operating, what plays he was calling. They were disagreeing with it. There's too much dissension on there. And he had a young team.
Right.
He couldn't do it all.
How far off do you think they are of getting back?
Couple years.
You think so?
I think it's a couple years. They need another reload with players. Okay, and you know how some things are gradual.
Sure.
You got to have the talent, and you need a couple of these good players. You need a couple big guys.
Yeah.
You can't just have these little guys because they wear out.
And you need guys, going back to what we were talking about with the Pirates, Steelers, and Penguins, guys that make the team the star.
Yeah.
It's not about the individual. It's about the team.
Yeah, and that makes a difference. So I think they're a couple years away from it.
Yeah.
Capels is a good coach.
I would agree.
He showed me a lot of skills there and trying to work with the players that, just didn't have the experience.
Yeah. And he can recruit.
Yeah.
So
he's known for that.
Right,
so
right, exactly.
We want to see it. That's what I want to see. Get some big boys in here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
We may get it, like what they had at Duke. That's all.
Right.
See a couple of them.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that.
That's terrific.
No, well, we're just about near the end of this. It's been my pleasure having Jake. Hopefully you enjoyed Jake Clancher here tonight with the Talking Machine. Prayers to Smoking Jim Frazier, and Chip Hayner will be back next week. He's out there working right now, so that's just how it goes. And I end each show with Stay Joey Strong.